Hello and welcome to another episode of Whatever's Cool, the show where we talk about anything and everything that is cool in the world today. I am, of course, the Doctor of Love of the cast, Daniel Porcro. With me is the Doctor Feel Good of the cast, Ben. And lastly and least, the Doctor of Thugonomics, Tim. How are we, boys?
Why am I Dr. Phil?
Why am I Doctor of Thugonomics?
Damn, I thought you guys were going to laugh at that one.
Was that it?
Was that the joke?
Yeah, that was the joke.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Alright.
Missed that line. Yeah. But yeah, try harder next time. It was good. Yeah. Is that crickets?
I think I saw some tumbleweed flying past here.
Yeah.
Wow, I thought it was going to be on a winner with that one.
Tough crowd.
Yeah, it's all because before we started, I said you guys are going to laugh. And you said, no, we're purposely not going to laugh at this, Dan. You know, you're not funny. Yeah, right.
Was that a dig at me saying that you don't like John Cena?
I didn't even think of that. I just thought, when I was thinking of the joke, I was just like, I was trying to go with the whole music feels like Dr. Love, obviously, because I love Kiss, Dr. Feel Good, because, Bev always thinks he's feeling good. And, I was like, I can't think of anything funny enough than, like, what can I bring it back to? I'm like, oh yeah, he loves John Cena, why not? Bang.
It doesn't even make sense.
But I didn't think it was like it was a dig at you. I was just thinking, oh yeah, what can I possibly put him in?
Oh man, that tumbleweed, wow, it's making quite the journey.
Yeah, I know. The crickets are pretty loud here as well. Tough crowd. Must be COVID.
It's a real symphony of those crickets, isn't it, Ben?
Yeah, I know.
You guys
What's happening
suck
today?
as friends. Oh, God. Anyway, so today we're having another one of our classic versus battles. Today it is The Thing, the John Carpenter's version from 1982, and the 2011 remake. And this is one that we've come to know and love. I mean, Ben, you were the one who introduced me to The Thing way back in 2010, I believe. And just, wow. But in saying that, can you give us a brief introduction as to the story of the John Carpenter's version?
Yeah, sure. So the movie itself was also a remake of a 1950 movie. So I think it was 1951. I think it was called The Thing from Another World. And the movie starts in Antarctica. So the opening shot is from outer space, and then you see a helicopter chasing a husky. And the helicopter is just... the people in the helicopter are shooting at this husky, and they're speaking in Norwegian. And then it comes across some Americans shooting all that stuff. And as the Norwegians were shooting at the husky, the Americans tried to protect the husky, and they accidentally kill... I wouldn't say accidentally, they kill the Norwegians and blow up the helicopter as well. So what happens afterwards is that they realize that the husky is not normal. It's actually an alien of some sort, and that can actually take the form of anything it touches and consumes it. And what happens afterwards is that it takes the form of one of the members of the Antarctic base. And what happens next is almost like a slasher movie, in that everyone else, you don't know who the Thing is, or the so-called alien, that's what they call it, the Thing. And any one of those could be an alien. So you get a bit of like a cabin fever sort of scenario, that everybody is suspicious. There's a lot of, everyone's suspicious of one another. There's also a lot of distrust. And you as a viewer are also guessing who could possibly be that alien. And that's pretty much the movie. I won't ruin who is the Thing in that. There's a lot of jump scares, and there's also a lot of situations where you would have not seen coming, and a lot of reveals that you wouldn't have seen coming either.
Well, let's be honest. If you've not watched this movie, stop this podcast now. Go watch it. It's a classic. We'll always be here. Just go watch it. Spend another hour and a half, and then come back and listen to this, because this is a doozy of a film. Seriously. So, boys, what was your first impression of John Carpenter's The Thing?
Loved it. Just straight up loved it. I think I saw this roughly around the same time as you both. might have. I don't know what it was. I don't know why I decided to watch it, but maybe because I've seen the other John Carpenter films, so Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from New York, and also Halloween. This is the one that I hadn't yet watched, and Kurt Russell and John Carpenter had such a great partnership doing movies, and I thought I'll give this a go. And it definitely just blew my mind. I could not believe that it had taken me so long to see this. It was brutal, it was gory, it was all the things that I like in a horror film. It also had really incredible practical effects, which is something that we'll discuss soon. But just the creativity behind it, it is so amazing that this movie was made. But I don't think there have been as many movies like that with that level of body horror.
I agree with that one. My first impressions of it, I remember only seeing the spider leg head in a article from Empire magazine. Don't know if that's even still around anymore.
Hey, I used to read Empire as well.
Yeah, is it still around?
I don't know. It was years ago when I read it, but
yeah,
I remember having there was like a little booklet that came with one issue of Empire, and it was like 100 movies you must see.
That's the one. Die. That's the one.
And this was actually in it, and I remembered seeing because it was a really great little booklet, because it'd give you a summary to tell you everything as to why they included it in this list, but also it would include maybe quotes and some facts about the film. Yeah, I don't remember the particular facts that they said about this one, but I remembered seeing that it was included. I was like, okay, look, I'll have to watch this. And I think up to now I've probably only seen like maybe a third of the movies in that booklet, but
I'm lucky if I've seen 15 of them. Yeah. But there was that issue, but there was another issue which was like the most paused moments in in movie history. It's like one was like the demon's face in Exorcist. Next one was Jamie Lee Curtis's nude scene in Trading Places. Trading Places, right? Yeah,
I think Trading Places.
Yeah, Trading Places. The one with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
And then this was like number 3, and it was just the spider legs, and I was just like, what the hell kind of a movie is this? And I read the little quote. It's like, oh, okay, I'm probably not going to watch that. I was at that point in my life. I think I was 14, 15. And I was just so scared of movies like that. I was like, I'll never touch it. And then finally, Ben came into my life and he was saying, oh, you got to watch this movie. You like John Carpenter? I'm like, yeah. And because he knew I loved Escape from New York, Escape from LA, Halloween. So he's like, if you can watch that, you can watch this. I'm like, all right. And then finally I got it, and it's like, whoa. My biggest fear of this movie was when the dog starts to turn and he starts spraying the other dogs with that liquid. I was just like, oh my god, is that acid? What's he spraying with? And I had to turn it off. I just couldn't get through that scene. And I'm ashamed to admit this. I actually had to get my mum to come and watch it with me because I was so scared of that bit. I wouldn't do that now, but I was just like back then. I was really scared.
I don't know, man. I still reckon you're a big scaredy cat.
Yeah. You got nothing to say about that, so it must be true. Hey?
All right, Ben. Well, why don't you say what your first things were?
Okay. Well, similar to you guys, I think I loved watching horror movies in my teens, and I found out about this actually through an ad on SBS. SBS, for those that don't live in Australia, is it's just one of those channels that has a lot of horror movies, a lot of cult classics, and a lot of movies that show a lot of skin. And I think
especially on a Friday night.
Yes. So yeah,
basically
films.
every high school boy's introduction to porn.
Basically,
for free.
Exactly. Yes, French foreign films. So
I remember it in high school. The guys just go, "Hey man, did you watch SBS the other night? There's this movie on called Jamon Jamon. It's the best."
Jamon Jamon.
I still haven't seen it, but yeah,
Sure.
like, believe me, I'm pretty sure that tape was circulating.
The one movie that comes to mind was a movie called the Tit and the Moon, and I
No,
just
no, no.
like,
I've got another one. The Weather Woman movies. The Weather Woman. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
wow, talk about nostalgia.
SBS though. SBS definitely one of the best channels to watch international films.
Exactly. Jet Li, Jackie Chan. That's the reason why I was watching SBS, not because it was my gateway
Sure it was.
into the human body. But I watched. So that was when I was first introduced to it, and yeah, I loved everything about it. The claustrophobia, the setting that it was in Antarctica, and they were going through a long winter, and they can't leave the base, and there was no help coming in. So there was that whole tone and theme of just hopelessness, and everybody, or there's no trust amongst anybody, and I just love that whole concept that anybody could be the thing. Yeah, you find out later on that it can take on any person's form, and yeah, most of the time, I say it's like a slasher movie because you're kind of guessing who the killer is, but the fact is it's just not one killer. It could be many because the thing can take on many people and many people's shapes. So that's what I liked about it.
An incredible sense of paranoia throughout the entire film as well, and it just keeps escalating. There was a scene just after the dog had revealed itself to be the thing, and one of the characters is questioning that really rugged dude, Clark, just asking him how long he'd been with the animal, the dog. He said, I don't know, maybe 1 hour, maybe an hour and a half. And he's like, why? And just from that moment, like, it then picks up and then it just keeps building and building until it gets right through to the end. And that sense of paranoia is just, like, how do you recreate that?
Yeah.
And I think that, like you were saying, Ben, the setting is probably what was key. They were very isolated. They're just in this research institute in the Antarctic, and even the way that the camera works. You know, I noted that there were scenes where the camera would just sort of track through the entire base, and it would just be empty hallways, empty rooms, and yeah, you know, you got that real sense of being alone. And just stuck in this area, and yeah, we'll add the paranoia, and of course, yeah, just all the ingredients are ripe for a great horror film.
And I love the fact that there's no real good guys in the movie. You probably could say that, oh hey, whoever's not the thing is the good guy, but the fact is, all these people are so paranoid that they're also accidentally killing innocent people as well. So they get it wrong sometimes in that movie, and I think that's what I like about it, because they were so paranoid that, yeah, hey, I don't want to be that, so they start acting out on other people.
Well, let's just delve into a little bit of the cast. I mean, we've already talked that we had Kurt Russell, but we also have the absolutely great Keith David, one of my favorite actors, and this time I got his name right, unlike last time. Ben, if you mentioned to me that Keith David was in it, I probably would have watched this, you know, straight away instead of waiting those few months before I had the guts to start watching it. Because I absolutely think he's awesome. I mean, the guy was Goliath in Gargoyles. Like, how could you go wrong with a guy like that? We have T.K. Carter, David Clennon, Richard Dysite, Charles Hallahan. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Peter Maloney, Richard Mosier, I think it is. Donna Moffat, Joel Polis, and Thomas Waits. Guaranteed I probably stuffed up all those names because I can't read. But, you know, the cast is stacked. I don't think anyone sort of misses a beat on that, don't you reckon?
Sure. I only know Kurt Russell and Keith David in that whole lineup. To be honest,
we don't really. Yeah. I just want to give props to the guys who may not be that famous, because, you know, like, they worked hard in this film, and I think everyone did a really good job.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Just being honest.
I don't recognize any of the names that you read out So yeah, only
Probably
only
'cause I
Keith
read them
David and
out
Kurt
wrong.
Russell.
And
Yeah,
I'm pretty
but-
sure you pronounced it wrong as well. But
Yeah, let's talk about the most important thing, because this obviously was made in the 80s, and the special effects in this one, I don't think they've dated, to be honest. I think they're still, with the exception of like the one bit when they're all tied up and then the guy gets eaten like that. You can clearly see it's a stuffed doll that's being eaten. Other than that, I think the special effects really hold up. I mean, the sound alone, just like when they're doing the autopsy, I still cringe at that, and that's what you live for, to have a film like that. When if the sounds make you cringe, that's a great movie right there.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of the squelching, the screams intermingled with like a roar when the creatures make their noises, the very very haunting, and definitely very memorable. I think with the special effects, particularly the prosthetics, the animatronics, that really is the benchmark for this type of horror. If you're gonna do anything like this, then yeah, definitely referencing The Thing is gonna or aiming to be like The Thing. That's probably worthy of targeting. There was one thing that I watched fairly recently where it was quite similar to The Thing, and with the whole body horror, especially like with tentacles and all that sort of jazz flying around.
What was that?
DC Swamp Thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so there was
very
an
good example. Very
there was an
very good.
autopsy scene in that, and I think it was in the first episode. Freaking horrific.
I can't remember.
And it looked so much like The Thing, and it was awesome. Like, if you want to draw someone in, like, yeah, try and evoke that sort of stuff. And I think that's one thing that sticks with me. And like you were saying, Dan, I definitely think that it has aged well, because I don't think there's much in the way of recent cinema that does this.
No, nothing comes to mind. I mean, is there any monster movie that's come out in the last 10 years that's even done anything remotely like that?
in what sense?
I mean,
In terms of these practical effects and
practical. It's
they call it Lovecraftian, because these creatures, these creations that they've got in it, you can't really describe them. They're grotesque, they're horrific, and there's very little way that you can talk about it. I mean, of course, that you can say, well, yeah, the dude's head separated from the body while it was emitting this ghostly roar, and the head ended up sprouting legs and crawling around like a spider. And when you describe it to someone like that, they'll just think this is bloody ridiculous. But
yeah.
But when you see it, it is, that image just stays with you, and you think this is bloody amazing.
I think the only one that can come to mind that has that sort of thing, but it's not a movie or TV show, is probably Stranger Things, particularly the first season when I can't even. It was Demogorgon or whatever.
Demogorgon.
Demogorgon, sorry. That was very horrific, but I mean, that's the only thing that remotely comes close. I can't think of anything.
There was a director that was famous for this type of work. I think his name was Cronenberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peter Cronenberg.
No, David Cronenberg.
Oh, sorry, David Cronenberg. David Cronenberg. He was the one who did The Fly, right? With
Yes.
Goldblum.
And
Yes.
Scanners as well.
And Scanners.
Videodrome.
Oh, did he do Scanners?
Yeah.
That
He's done some great movies lately as well. He did a adaptation of A History of Violence, and he's also did Eastern Promises. So both movies have Viggo Mortensen in them, so really worth a watch. Yeah, so I think a lot of his 80s movies were a lot of body horror type of films as well. And yeah,
The
similar
Fly, that still gives me nightmares, that movie.
I think Rick and Morty did a reference of that as well. You Cronenberged it, so there was an episode
the
everything.
Cronenberg universe, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, that I mean, that's that just to show you that a lot of Carpenter's movies can I still think New York is still relevant to this day. It still holds up. Thing is definitely up there. Halloween definitely, but like Escape from LA, not so much.
Big Trouble, dude.
Big
Trouble in
Trouble.
Little China.
Big Trouble.
Wait.
The
Choose your words very carefully here.
The only problem I have with Big Trouble, and they finally rectified it, was the ending. If you're big on comic books, they continued on from the story, and I was just like, why is there no sequel? Like that's the only hurdle I have with Big Trouble. That there's no sequel, and finally we got a near conclusion with the comic book series. So that's all I'm going to say about that. It went nowhere.
We need to talk about Big Trouble in Little China because I'm picking that one's probably my favorite, but you can call BS on that, Dan, because we did talk about favorite Carpenter movies.
Yes,
but
we did.
either did I say The Thing or did I say Big Trouble?
Big Trouble.
I think it flip flops around, but The Thing is a very close
you
second to
you
me.
said that it always flip flops, but usually you go with Big Trouble, just because the wackiness of it all. But for me, it's always going to be Escape. I love Escape from New York. Anyway, this is not a John Carpenter. This is not a John Carpenter episode, like full episode. So
That's all right, man. We got all the time in the world.
just quickly, Ben, what's your favorite Carpenter movie?
Oh, The Thing, for sure. Easy. That's why you asked me to talk about it, right?
Sorry, you were the one who suggested this. I just went, okay, that sounds like a good idea. You know, I haven't seen the remake, so why not?
Hence my favorite movie.
All right. Jeez. Well, that's pretty much how we're going to talk about with John Carpenter's The Thing. Now we're going to move on to 2011's remake, which was by the same company. It was by Universal as well. I didn't know much about this. I just heard it was a remake, and it's got the girl from Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Tim, can you just give us a brief summary? I'm hoping I hope it's just short because we're talking too much.
Well, the short of it is it's essentially the same movie. So rather than having a dog being chased through the snow by a helicopter, this one opens with similarly stunning cinematography and stunning snowscapes. Or snow-covered landscapes, but there are these three Norwegian guys. They're riding around in a vehicle in the snow. They're trying to track down some signal. One of the people in the front of the cabin is telling the driver this really lewd joke. I don't know if you guys like that. That joke was kind of off, but
it wasn't funny.
Yeah, well, sort of similar to your joke at the start of this. But okay, I'm gonna bring it back. But so they're chasing after this signal, and then one thing leads to another. They crash their vehicle, and as they're plummeting, they suddenly stop. But then they see what's beneath them in this cavern is a spaceship. They cut to another scene, and it's Mary Elizabeth Winstead who plays Kate in the film. And she's dissecting some fossil, and this mysterious man comes in. He's played by Ulrich Thompson, who is from Banshee, one of my favorite shows of all time.
Yeah.
And
I recognize him from something.
Yeah, well, he wants her to come on this trip, and he's quite mysterious about it. But it turns out that, well, these guys have uncovered this spaceship. They want to see what's there, but then there's also an organism that is trapped in the ice nearby, and then they want to see what this is because this is evidence of life from outer space. Same sort of thing happens. There's a lot of paranoia in this film. I don't want to reveal too much, but wait, or are we just going to reveal the whole thing?
Well, again, guys, if you've not watched these movies, why are you even listening? Go, just turn this off. Spend 3 hours watching both these movies. Come back. We're always going to be here, and then enjoy the rest of the show. Like, seriously, this isn't like a complete review where we just do a review of a new movie. This is a review of like which is better. So just watch them. Come back.
Okay. Well, all right. In that case, so they excavate this creature from the ice. It's a huge block of ice. They try to take a sample of it, but in taking a sample, it then it reincarnates or rejuvenates, busts out of the ice, and then starts causing havoc amongst this base. Similar thing, it is capable of imitating an organism perfectly. So then they start feeling the paranoia, and they're not sure which one amongst them is actually housing this entity within them. A lot of sort of horror set pieces, I guess you'd call them. A lot of the body horror sort of stuff. Some truly, truly terrible CGI employed throughout the film to show the creature. And yeah, it just ends. I'm making it sound like I hated this movie. I didn't hate it. I think that it was essentially... It may as well have been a shot-for-shot remake of the original 1983 version, or 1982 version. Yeah, it may have been a shot-for-shot remake. And I mean, I guess because how are you going to top it? Like, how are you going to top the classicness of the Carpenter one? I know the Carpenter one wasn't really well received when it first came out.
No, it was a flop, wasn't it, when it came out?
Not because I'm older than you, Dan, but just purely because it wasn't right for the time.
4 years he's older than me.
I think it's only 2, dude. But we're not going to get into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a flop when it first came out, and it only achieved its cult status much later. You know, people started having an appreciation for it, and like you said,
when Beta came out, right? I think that's when it was first released on Beta, or was it on VHS?
I'm picking VHS for this one.
Yeah. Oh, you should know. You came out. It came out when you were, in your teens, so
But it also had a very good DVD, collector's DVD. So they had like a lot of added special features in terms of behind the scenes, and talks about the creature special effect, like the creature effects. Just a lot of behind the scenes interviews. It was very comprehensive, so I think that's why there was such a cult following for that.
And yeah, I mean, well, this one they try to evoke the similar sense of paranoia and fear. And, they've got the same isolated setting. It's out in the Antarctic. These people are trapped in this base. There's no way of knowing when help is going to be coming. The setup is... if you watch these side by side, you will probably swear, like, well, this is just a shot-for-shot remake. It is so similar. But I didn't really... Like, you were talking about the casting before, and apart from Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Kai Proctor in this one. Well, look, Joel Edgerton's in it, but everyone's really unmemorable. They all just seem like they're fodder for the entire thing. And I know that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That was the same as the Kurt Russell one and the John Carpenter one, but the execution just wasn't nearly as good in this. And it's not a terrible film. I still enjoyed it. So like my wife said that when we first watched this, I fell asleep and I never went back to it. I don't know why I did that, but look, probably tired, but I don't know why I never went back to it, because when I watched it yesterday, I was like, this is actually okay. It's all right, but I did really hate the fact that they went CGI. And in fact, I remembered that when they were doing teasers for it and a trailer for it and all that sort of thing, the directors were saying, we went with practical effects for this. But it turned out that when the movie came out, it was all CGI. And then behind the scenes, they were actually told by, I think it was Universal, that they need to reshoot. So there were a lot of reshoots for this. They were told that it looked too old, and it's like, but that's the whole point. You're making a movie called The Thing, which is maybe a remake of the 1982 one, which is lauded for the practical effects, and then they're going to be told not to do that. They're like, no, just go with CGI. And then
I think that's a problem. I think that's a problem with a lot of films with when you get Hollywood executives saying, "Oh, it has to be this because of that." I mean, look what happened to Suicide Squad. Per example, the heaps of people just going in and stuffing around with that film, and then we got that chop of a movie.
Well, yeah, but with this, how bad did the CGI look? Come on, like I can't be the only one here.
The first bit. Oh no, sorry, it was the second. You know when the two guys are on the helicopter, and his face just kind of splits. It's just like, hang on, I can do it. I have an app that can actually do that now. You know, and that was 9 years ago, and it just shows you how special effects have now. You can just do it at home yourself. That was quite possibly the worst of all the CG in that movie. That one scene, because like split screen, turned it a little bit, and he went and then they put like little stuff in between that, and it was shocking for a movie that's meant to be top quality and all that stuff. It just looked like something that you'd get to direct to home video. That scene.
Sorry, Ben, you're gonna say?
Oh, I was saying, I think what they were trying to do was give it a more organic sort of look, but I think at that point, the special effects, look, I mean, special effects have gone a long way, but it's just really hard to make it look real. When you see special effects in Marvel movies and things like that, you know that, oh, hey, that's not real because just the sense in terms of how people move. And I know that it was a troubled production as well. I read somewhere that the practical effects that they actually did for the movie, it all got replaced by the same company that did District 9, I think. So the people that actually did the creature effects and all that, they weren't too happy about it. And because they did create all those creatures, they decided to make their own movie from it. So the movie is actually called Harbinger Down. So it actually has Lance Henriksen in it. So worth a watch. I think you can actually find yourself a copy on YouTube because it was crowdfunded, that movie. So Harbinger Down.
Okay, I'll have a look for that.
Sounds good. Yeah, like when I was watching this and seeing the effects, especially in the final act. So they're in the alien craft, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead's being stalked by this creature. It looked like a 2000s video game cutscene, and a lot of it just felt that way. It felt that, you know, this really should have just appeared in a video game instead. And
well, it's funny, they actually did make a video game of it too.
They did. They definitely did. I never played it, but apparently it was okay. But with this, you didn't get that feel. Like you didn't get that feel where it was quite real with the practical effects in Carpenter's film. This one, like it just felt very, very generic, very hollow. Yeah, I'm not saying though that there weren't some significant beats in it that were pretty good. There were some genuinely, I thought, scary moments, and I mean, even one of them, it was so simple. It was just when the alien busted out of the ice earlier on in the piece.
Jump scare.
Yeah, I mean, jump scares are fine. Like, it didn't rely on jump scares the whole way through, like most films these days are want to do. But there was just something about it that just it really lacked a lot of oomph to it, you know, like to elevate it into something that becomes like more must watch. This is just something that would help pass the time.
Yeah. Let me throw this spanner in the works. Because we're watching this now in 2020 as opposed to 2011, do you reckon at the time we'd be saying something completely different? Like maybe CGI that we thought back then, this was high tech. Like honestly, for me, if I saw it back in the day, I reckon I'd still be feeling exactly the same way I'm feeling now. But how did you guys feel about that?
To be honest, when I first saw it, I had the same vibes as I watched RoboCop. I mean, I liked it. I just didn't like it as much as I did with the original. Just because how much appreciation and love I had for the original. Like I said, my favorite John Carpenter movie. And yeah, I think it's hard to create that sense of dread. And at the same time, the base was a Norwegian base, but there was a lot of Americans in there. And I liked the fact that there was a lot of distrust for each other because they did not understand what they were, like in terms of speaking different languages, they don't know what they were saying. So I like that aspect of it. But in terms of, I think they did too much. It's like, for example, the special effects, like the visual effects in particular, like that spaceship scene, I think that was a bit too much. I don't think they needed all that stuff for like a final showdown. I think they could have made it simple to it, but yeah, like when I got into it, it was hard to know whether it was like a shot-for-shot remake or it was something more than that. Was it a sequel, prequel? Well, you find out later on what it was, but I won't reveal too much about it.
Oh, we're going to anyway, so...
Oh, okay. But anyway, and these are pretty talented actors. I mean, Joel Edgerton I really like as well. Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Yeah, the guy that played Carl Proctor, I forgot his name.
Ulrich Thompson.
Yeah, it was good as well. And yeah, they had some pretty good actors in that. But I don't know. At the same time, maybe in the original one, I think it was more believable. Maybe because, I guess, everybody seemed like your blue-collar type of workers, but these guys, I don't know. Something about it, I don't know.
That's fair enough. Well, we've pretty much gone through all the things we need to talk about on that.
I was just going to say, I really liked Mary Elizabeth Winstead in this. She's moved on to do some decent work. I mean, Dan, you mentioned Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Fell in love with her because of that. But also, she did 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is exercise, a real exercise in isolation and paranoia, and it was done very effectively. But I really think that with this, if this movie had been a hit, because it bombed. It did not make back, its production costs. But if this movie had been a hit, she very well could be cast as Ripley. I reckon she would there would be a convincing case to have her as Ripley. Just the mere fact that she was wielding a flamethrower in this, I was like, oh man, this just reminds me of Aliens.
That thought never crossed my mind, but thinking about it now, yeah, that's a really good idea. Like, if they ever did an Alien remake or whatever, because now Disney owns it, we don't know what's going to happen with the Alien franchise right now. Yeah, she'd be perfect, absolutely perfect.
Neil Blomkamp was meant to do a continuation of the series. He even had some drawings done up of Hicks with his face showing scarring from being burnt by acid. Ripley was meant to be in it. I can't remember if Newt was going to be in it, but it was basically going to just continue from Aliens and ignore every other Alien film from there.
Yeah.
And I mean, Sigourney Weaver would have been amazing to bring back, but if they were to ever do a reboot of Alien or Aliens, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, I think she would be awesome in that.
Yeah.
I think she went the indie route, though. I think she went the indie route and made a few indie movies afterwards. But she was also in season 3 of Fargo as well, which was she was really good in that.
She was one of my. I think she was probably my favorite part of Birds of Prey recently.
Who was she in Birds of Prey?
Huntress.
I gotta watch that again. I don't know. Like, Birds of Prey just didn't do it for me, and it's just not memorable. So I'll have to watch it again to see.
All right. So are we going to talk about the ending to this 2011 film?
Oh yeah.
Did we talk about the ending to the other one?
We did not yet. Like I think let's cover this off first. We've got a bit more that we can unpack with the 82 one. But
now, when did you guys sense that it was going to be a prequel to Carpenters, or did you not see it coming?
No, I already knew that.
Oh, because you read the thing.
I think. Oh, this is taking me back. But when this movie came out, I think it was marketed so. Either that or reviews had said that this is a prequel to The Thing.
Okay, because I've always known it to be a remake. I had no idea it was a prequel until a certain scene.
Oh wow. Well, I mean, last night when when I decided to rewatch these, I chose to watch this one first, knowing that it was set before the 82 film.
Yeah.
I liked how they did it though, like because so with the ending, they've got the showdown with Kai Proctor, and he gets blown up in the spaceship. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Joel Edgerton, they make their way out. Well, and they're they're getting into the Bobcat. They're going to drive off, but then she noticed something is amiss, and it's quite subtle. And, it goes back to all their research as to how this creature is able to perfectly mimic any organism, but they're not able to mimic things that aren't organic. So, for example, they were trying to test to see who was who, and the most basic thing they could think of was who had fillings. If you had a filling, then the thing wouldn't be able to replicate that. She sees that he doesn't have his earring, decides, yep, okay, you're definitely not you anymore, so burns him alive, and then she hops into the next Bobcat, and camera's just on her face, and it's like a very haunted look on her face. Cuts to black, but then when you hear the familiar John Carpenter theme from 82, you then start seeing some scenes play out mid credits, and like per each person's name that is mentioned, then it'll reveal more, and it turns out that it segues into the 82 film. So Lars is the sole survivor. You see one of the other dudes who I think slit his throat or slit his wrists.
Slit his throat.
Okay, so he slit his throat, and that person's body was seen in the 82 film.
That's right.
And then someone else flies a helicopter down. Lars tells him we need to go, so they start chasing after the Husky, because now the thing is in the Husky. Then that segues into the 82 film, and look, I don't have any issues with it. I've seen this before. They've done this for Rogue One most recently. Rogue One had that ending that would segue it into A New Hope.
Yeah, but we knew that was going to happen, though. That was a given. Like, most people who probably saw this didn't realize it was the prequel. Like, for me, it was when the plane landed, and I looked at it and went, why have I seen this before? That plane. And I was like...
Plane or the helicopter?
Oh, sorry, helicopter. When the other guy, the survivor, came out and he had the same clothes, that's when I went, is this a prequel? And then when I saw the dog, I went, oh my god, it is a prequel. That freaked me out. I was like, okay, that, and then I had to rewatch it today, and I can see the elements of what was meant to, what they were trying to get through with the original. And I was like, okay, it kind of works, but it kind of contradicts itself a lot as well. Because you see the computers they had in this movie as opposed to the computers they had in Carpenter's one, it's just like, that doesn't make sense. But it is what it is.
It's fan service. When I saw it, I had no idea until the end when the credits started showing and you hear John Carpenter's theme, the original theme from the 1982 movie. And just touching on Rogue One, similar thing as well. Like how you knew it was going to be a prequel before A New Hope, but seeing Princess Leia at the end, you knew that it was a fan service thing, and that was great. But not nearly as great where Darth Vader just butchers everyone in that hallway leading up to that spaceship. That was sick.
That was dope. That was an epic beatdown.
Savage.
Yeah. So
I need to rewatch. I'm going to rewatch that tonight.
I can't believe I just said savage. I'm turning into a millennial. Jeez. Oh, kill me.
You seem to identify yourself as one.
No, I'm not a millennial. I don't say lit. I don't say. I can't. No, I'm not a millennial. I'm a Gen Y. 1982. John Carpenter's thing. Is it cool?
Definitely. That's a stupid question to even ask.
Yeah, that definitely is a very cool film.
Our listeners and our viewers want to know what we think, and we have to answer the question, okay? It's just business.
I think, like what Empire said, it's required viewing. And I was even trying to get a friend to watch it because they'd never seen it. And the friend was saying, "Oh, look, I'm scared of horror movies." And I'm like, "Okay, well, look, this is a character building experience. It's a must. It is absolutely necessary that you watch this movie."
Did that friend end up watching it with you?
No, No, we're all in lockdown. We're not watching movies with any of our friends.
I thought this was like a long time ago. I didn't realize it was now.
No. But apart from this person who I recommended to recently, anyone else that I told about this, they've watched it and they all agree. It's incredible. It is something that you really need to check out. And up to now, it just holds up. There's so many little things to it that I love that I haven't even been able to talk about in this yet. But even the way that it's framed, did you notice that like it was scene by scene, it would close off with a fade to black and then it would cut to the next scene. It was just incredible, like just like these little vignettes leading into each scene and escalating. And oh man, the music, the effects, it's one of the all-time greats, and it's criminal that John Carpenter didn't get to do better films after this. I mean, look, that's discounting Big Trouble in Little China, because that is also a classic.
They Live, another good classic.
They Live, yes. But the fact that he couldn't move on to more pop... He actually lost work as a result of this.
Did he?
Yeah, so like he was lined up to direct something, but then they took him off because of how bad this movie bombed. But yeah, it is definitely a very cool picture, and
Interesting.
I'm glad that we got to rewatch it. It should be a movie that I should rewatch regularly. And yeah, I don't think 2011 was going to be able to beat it.
Ben?
Look, one of my favorite John Carpenter movies, just in terms of the visual effects and just certain scenes that sticks to you for, I guess, the rest of your life. There's just iconic moments when it comes to scary scenes. I'm not going to ruin it too much for you. I think we already mentioned a spider head scene, but there's also a scene where someone is resuscitated and there's something happens. Not
Oh
say
man,
too
that
much
still
about
haunts me.
With the paddles?
Yeah.
Defibrillator bit? Oh my god. I forgot about that one until I saw it again last night. I was like, oh, wait. I think I know.
Yeah.
It still scares me. Like, it's just because the teeth and...
It's incredible.
I think just how unexpected it is. It just comes out of nowhere. And the build up and the tension in terms of when they're doing the tests, like they're all tied up together and they're doing that blood test with the hot wire. I mean, you don't know who's who, and then when one of them is the Thing and you're like, oh man, everybody's tripping balls, everybody's freaking out, they're screaming as the person next to them just turning into the Thing. That was great. And also at the same time, the flamethrower not working, you're like, oh man, that's mental. So
the malfunctioning at just the right moment, you're like, oh man, this is like nail biting.
Yeah,
they would have survived if that idiot just didn't froze up in fear and just go with it. But yeah,
and it was the perfect ending because at the end,
it's ambiguous.
Yeah, because you don't know. Well, the thing was, they killed the big creature at the end. There's two left, and there's also one person missing, and you don't know what happened to that other person. So I'm not going to say which character it is, but at the end, those two characters, you don't know if they are the Thing or not. So it was the perfect ending because it was so bleak, and they're both just so tired, and I thought it was just the perfect way to end it.
Yeah.
I think that. Are you gonna do this?
Oh, I was gonna say I think it's cool. I've seen it at least once every couple of years. It still scares the living crap out of me, especially that scene with the paddles. But yeah, it's still cool. One thing I did find out because I watched the original The Thing from Another World today. I love the fact that the opening credits, when they show The Thing, it's exactly the same format and done exactly the same way as The Thing from Another World. So if you guys ever get a chance to watch it, you'll see that. And I was like, wow, that's a great callback. And it looks like, even though the old movie is in black and white, it still looks cool with that font. So that was a really good callback, and I think Carpenter did it intentionally because sort of wanted to pay homage to that. Even though that film is completely different to what we watched.
Yeah, so like, what are our thoughts on 2011's one overall?
I think it's cool.
Wow. Okay.
I
Out of 5?
I give it a 3.
Okay.
Why give it a 3? It's one of those ones that I can sit back and just enjoy it. There's nothing, with the exception of the CGI, there's nothing really I didn't like about this movie. I liked the story, I liked the elements of it, and I just liked the film. I can't really say anything else. I just liked it. I really did.
I think it was serviceable. I again, I don't know why I didn't finish it off when I first tried to watch it, because I found myself liking quite a few things about the 2011 one. I asked myself this question: is it a good companion piece to the 82 film? And in some ways it is. In some ways, I think, but in many ways, I also think it isn't. I just found myself, I just found it too similar. Like it retread the same story, it had the same structure, just transplanted to a different base and a different cast. And like how with certain films, it'll have some things that they drop, and then you're like, oh, I wonder what that could be. At the end of it, I just found myself, well, look, I know this is a prequel. I didn't really need to know what happened to the Norwegians. I think I liked that it was purposely kept as a mystery in Carpenter's film, and seeing how it played out, and it was near identical in how it played out. It then led me to think, well, yeah, this wasn't actually a necessary film at all. It doesn't expand greatly on the mythology, and it didn't need to be redone, because you can't capture that lightning in a bottle a second time. So
Well, that's fair.
yeah.
I'll give it that. I'll give you that.
I mean, I can't. Last night proved that I can watch them back to back. I can watch the 2011 one and follow it up with the 82 one, and it flows. It's okay. But if I were to pick one, I'd always go with the Carpenter one. But with this, I could give it a miss, or I could have it in the background and not really pay attention. So I'd actually give this one a 2 out of 5, even though I really liked Mary Elizabeth Winstead in it, and some of the jump scares were quite effective. But yeah, I could definitely just ignore it.
Okay, that's fair enough. Ben?
Yeah, I would give it a 3 as well. Like I said, it wasn't amazing, but at the same time, it was something I did go and watch it. I watched at the cinema, and I enjoyed myself. But then I would say it was inferior to the original film. I think you guys touched on most of the points I was going to say as well. It wasn't necessary in terms of having to make that movie. It didn't expand on the universe in terms of, well, I guess I tried to do it with the whole alien spaceship thing, but it didn't really tell me anything more. I think they didn't really do anything new, really. I think there were a few scenes in this film where they try to use to explain why there were certain corpses in the original Norwegian base, which I guess was kind of cool. But other than that, yeah, I think it didn't really do too much for it. I think what was good about the original, it was almost a doomsday sort of situation, that if this thing managed to escape the base, the whole world's going to be doomed, because it can take any form or shape, and it could spread from person or take over people.
Multiply.
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, the computer predicted that in 27 hours, if it escaped, it'd completely infect the world.
And that was
it was very doom and gloom.
And I think that's what's so good about the original. Yeah, there was a lot of things at stake. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to add that Kurt Russell breaking that chess wizard machine, well, he just destroyed his only video game. What an idiot move. But I did like how he just said cheating bitch. Like, Kurt Russell, you are the man.
We have to make sure that when we release this, we have to tag him in Twitter and see if he actually listens to this bit. Kurt, you are awesome.
Please do a Big Trouble in Little China too.
Oh yeah. Oh man, how good would that be?
My mate Ewan and I, we used to talk about, and this is probably on a couple of our drunken nights out, but he goes, Timmy, I think if we're going to do a sequel, we're going to have to talk to Carpenter, and we're going to have to call it Big Trouble in Big China. I don't know if I did his accent any justice, so I'm really sorry, Yui. But Big Trouble in Big China, I'm down for that.
That'd be good. That'd be really good. We just got to address the elephant in the room when it comes to the ending of Carpenters. Was Childs the alien?
What if we do a 3, 2, 1 and then we just say the name? Because we've only got 2 survivors in this scene, so McCready and Childs.
Okay.
3, 2, and then 3, 2, 1. We all just say which one we think.
All right, count it down, Tim.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Childs.
None of them were.
All right, no, that's fine. No, but that was what was intended. You know, they intended for it to be super ambiguous, and you know, like. I'm only thinking that it was Childs because when I was watching, I was taking notes and I thought he's coming across as a lot more monotone than he has been throughout the movie. So he's the one that drops like the multiple F-bombs and, you know, he's quite fiery, you know, as a character. But then when he and McCready encounter each other, he's like, you know, just, you know, droning out what he's saying. And I just thought, yeah, okay, like, I think an argument could be made that he may have already been taken over.
That's a good observation. And what happened to Knowles as well?
I don't even remember that character, to be honest.
He was one of the last 4 people. One of them, you see the Blair monster that actually, you see one of the Blair.
Is he the dude on the roller skates?
Yes. I think, yeah.
So the cook, yeah. See, like. Yeah,
I thought he was at one point, and that, you know, because like when he escaped, and sorry, when he met up with everybody else again, you know, he was acting weird. You know, it's like, oh, it's McCready. How the hell did you know it was McCready? You know. So I got a feeling that he may have been infected as well.
Yeah, like when he disappeared, like I just thought that he got absorbed into the main creature, and you know, like he ended up being part of this Akira-like entity. And yeah, I mean, like, oh, man, the image of that is so disgusting. Like, you know, it sprouts like multiple heads, tentacles. Ah, it's awesome.
Thanks, Tim. I'm not going to sleep tonight. Jeez.
Oh God, you're such a wuss. I was going to say worse, but...
There's a reason why I watch this during the day, because then, you know, I'm not going to... Oh, gosh.
Come on, man. It's character building.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Be like my cousin who confronted his fear and says that he watches The Conjuring 2 every night before he goes to sleep.
Oh man, no, don't. I can't watch that one. Okay,
I think that is one of our next episodes. There, we have to talk about the Conjuring series.
The only reason why I got through that movie is because the nun in it, I kept saying to myself, okay, it's just Marilyn Manson in a creepy nun's outfit. That's all it is, you know. And you like Marilyn Manson's music, just go with it. And I managed to get through it, but I had nightmares for weeks after that, and I'm not watching that again.
Well, I think maybe we better call it a night then, just so you can calm yourself down.
Oh,
you know,
gosh.
Listen to some of that Enya you love.
I can't do it. Anyway, well, that's all the time we have for this episode of What If It's Cool. Make sure to follow us on Anchor, Spotify, Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and of course iTunes. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit us a like, and share this with all your friends and family, and tweet us at What If It's Cool. Find us on Facebook at What If It's Cool Podcast. And until next time, we'll see you then.